Well, hey, I'm Dennis Wells, and it's a real honor to be here, Bass Frontiers magazine, and to be a part of this, to be listed in the same list with some of my heroes is really unbelievable, and it's just very humbling to be here and tell my story. But I grew up down in southern Arkansas, and I'm fortunate enough to grow up in a family that was very musical. My mom and my dad both sang and played, so it was pretty cool to be in a family that was kind of centered around music, actually. And I grew up taking guitar lessons, and actually took them from an old black guy there in southern Arkansas that was just a real great blues player, and somebody had a lot of enthusiasm, and so it sparked my interest early on for music, and particularly music with a groove, music that really had some substance in it. And but then my younger brother, Kent Wells, came along, who was 5 years younger, and basically booted me off of the guitar. He was clearly so much more talented and had so much more ability, and so I quickly figured out I better find another instrument. So bass seemed like the logical instrument to land on, and my dad played a little rhythm guitar and sang. My mother played a little piano and sang. So we kind of formed the band around the four of us, and we played for nursing homes and for basically anybody that would have us. And flatbed trailers were our main stage throughout those young years, and really fond memories. Then I went off to college and began studying and got interested in the profession that has been my main focus for my adult life, which is dentistry. So I've really never earned my living with music, though I certainly wanted to and entertained that idea a lot. But through college and dental school, I played in various bands, and I would shuttle my younger brother Kent back and forth every time I could, because even at his younger age, he was many times better than some of the guys that I could round up to play in college and dental school. So we kind of went through that process through the 8 years that I was in school, and really enjoyed every chance I could to play. And then as I got out of dental school and went back to southern Arkansas to begin my practice, it just so happened that my brother Kent had been 2 years to college. He had a full ride music scholarship, by the way, and but after 2 years he'd had enough of that, and he said college was not for him. So he actually came back and settled in the same town where I was practicing dentistry, and believe it or not, it's Nashville, Arkansas. So somewhere along the way I made a jump from Nashville, Arkansas to Nashville, Tennessee. But anyway, Kent joined us, and we bought an old movie theater, converted it into a country music scene. It was kind of popular down in that area at that time to have these theaters that would run country music shows or family music shows through the weekend. And so for about the next 2 years, every weekend we had what I'd call a variety show, mostly country music, and I was the house bass player during that 2 years, and that was a place where I really grew as a musician a good bit, and played a lot, way more than I'd ever played prior to that, and was exposed to a whole lot of the country music, which prior to that our interest was more in the pop and rock and blues arena. So it was kind of a jump for me into a new genre of music, and really learned to love it, and it grew on me. And so for the next few years, that was what we did there. And then ultimately Kent decided to pack up his family and move to Nashville, Tennessee. And he quickly landed some jobs with Keith Whitley and Earl Thomas Connolly and some other popular artists at that time. And I began to get the itch to do the same thing. And so after practicing dentistry there for 4 years in southern Arkansas, I kind of did the Jed Clampett thing, and loaded up my family and my dental chairs and what I could drag along there, and moved here to Nashville. And as luck would have it, an artist that had actually played down in our little music show in Arkansas and whom we knew from years back. His name was David Slater. He actually had won the Star Search at that time that Ed McMahon was part of, and landed a record deal with Capitol Records. And so he asked me to be the bass player for that band, and my brother Kent was part of that, and so it was a really neat experience to get to join forces and try to play with the big boys. And so for about the next 2 years, I did very little dentistry, and as I was building and starting a practice from scratch here, and went out on the road most weekends and played with David. So that was a very exciting time for me in my journey as a player. We got to open for quite a few big acts and big venues, and just being around the whole scene. I felt very fortunate. I felt like I was one of these guys that got to kind of experience 2 careers there. I also discovered that people who come out of this town and who migrate here and who spent their whole life with music and their discipline of their instruments, I realized that, wow, boy, there's levels that I couldn't even imagine before. So it was exciting for me, but it was also very humbling. And though I enjoyed it tremendously, it became clearer and clearer to me in those 2 years that I better get back to what I was really trained to do, which was dentistry. And so music has been something that, particularly playing the bass, that has allowed me to experience a lot of cool things, both with my family and then out in the exciting world of entertainment. And I found that very fulfilling, but then it was also neat that I could step aside and get back to my profession I was trained to do. And also it's kind of neat that I could blend the music with my dentistry, and that I was able to treat a lot of the music industry and kind of vicariously live through them and some of the artists that I was treating. Also, interestingly enough, music turned out to be a big source of healing for me in a couple of ways. About 5 years ago, I went through a tragic loss of my oldest son in an automobile accident. And he also loved music. He was a music major at a college here in Nashville and played the drums. And so, as it would turn out, we formed a foundation in his honor that eventually began to work towards supporting the W.O. Smith School of Music, which is a great organization here in Nashville that provides free instruments and free lessons for needy children. And I knew right off the bat when I heard about this business that it would be a perfect match for my son, my late son Dustin, as he was a big supporter of music. He loved kids. He loved being a counselor at his church camp and various things like that. So I knew this was a good fit. And in the last 3 years, we've had a benefit concert every February. We've raised well over $150,000, which I'm really, really proud of. But most of all, we've been able to kind of combine music, and a lot of the artists that are patients of mine have been so kind to be a part of that. And so it's really interesting how that foundation, that benefit concert every year, has been a source of healing for me in our loss. And it's further shown me the power of music and the way that music can move us emotionally and deep in our soul. So music has been very much of interest to me, and I hope I never get to the point where I hear a great bass line and I don't want to run home and try to figure it out and learn it. That's always the way it's been. I hope it'll always be that way. And thank you for letting me share my story of how playing the bass as a professional with another profession has been a neat addition to my life. Thank you to Dave Fowler, a dear friend, for inviting me to be in this magazine. And again, it's a real honor to be here alongside all these great players that I've idolized all my life. Thank you.